actually sure exactly when it began for me. I feel like my parents instilled that kind of a value system in me at a very young age. It was always, you always had mandatory chores, and I had to help my sisters with what they needed. And I think there was just a sense of, you have two hands for a reason, one's for you and one's to help, kind of thing. And as a kid, I think part of where it started was I had always wanted another dog, and I wasn't allowed to get another dog. But my parents looked at that as oh, she's gaining responsibility, and that would be great. So I looked into the Humane Society being able to foster dogs. So I would, at 11 or 12 or 13 years old, sort of apply to be a foster parent for these dogs, and I kept bringing home all these random dogs that I would have my parents and I take care of, but they thought, she's being responsible, so why not? Some kids don't like salads. I just never liked meat for some reason. So that was already there. You can't get a kid to eat Brussels sprouts, and I would look at a steak and be like, I don't understand it. I don't want to eat it. And then when I found out what a vegetarian was, I was also a little bit belligerent as a child, and I said, well, I'm a vegetarian, so I can't do that anymore. Because I always had in the back of my mind an inability to distinguish between my burger and our cat or dog in that weird way. Like I couldn't wrap my head around that as a kid, why it was okay to eat the burger, but it was okay to have these as house pets, and we didn't eat them. And so because I couldn't understand that, I just said I want nothing to do with it. I became vegetarian at 11, I think because I was a very stubborn kid, and I never loved meat. A lot of times kids don't like salads or Brussels sprouts or vegetables, and I was the polar opposite. I did not like steak or chicken or meat, but I loved salads and greens. And I kind of always had the inability to distinguish between my our house pet and the burger, and I didn't understand why one was okay to eat and not the other. It was very confusing to me at a young age. So when I learned the definition of what a vegetarian was, I claimed it, and I stood by it. And my parents were, slightly frustrated because you want your kid to, be nutritious and have protein. So my mom is a nurse, and she just made me sort of read up on a lot of books and what kind of vitamins I needed. And it's not just protein that you're missing, it's zinc and magnesium and all these minerals. And so they allowed me to do it if I educated myself. I became involved with Invisible Children about 7 years ago because my phenomenally inspiring friends from San Diego made a documentary called Invisible Children, The Rough Cut, that just kind of exposed me to a problem that I didn't know existed, which was that children were being used as soldiers all over the world, but specifically in northern Uganda for the longest running war in Africa, which I had no idea about. And I think that it just really sunk in at that time when I saw this documentary and I saw my friends involved in this cause, how many causes you don't know about and how sort of sheltered your life can be if you allow it. And I don't really feel like I do much for them. I feel more like I'm just a channel to broadcast their message because they're really the ones doing the amazing work. I have a responsibility because I'm a human being, and I feel like I have a platform because I'm an actress. For some strange reason, we as a culture have chosen to hold high the opinions of the people that are in the media. And sometimes they're good opinions and sometimes they're not, but I feel like it's in everybody's best interests to sort of stand up for what you believe in. And the fact that I have the ability to announce issues or draw attention to things that I really feel are important and could use attention, I feel like I would be doing my integrity a disservice if I wasn't sort of active philanthropically. I've always been an extreme animal lover, to a degree that maybe was very strange when I was a kid, because I was way more comfortable talking to the dog in the corner than I was hanging out with my family and friends at some points. I remember going through very specifically a phase when I was about 6 or 7 where I would only eat next to the dog. I wanted my food next to the dog bowl. I was eating it with my face. It was a whole thing, and I was experimental. I don't know. Animals make me happy. Gandhi once said, a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. And Gandhi wasn't an idiot. So I think that's a pretty smart statement, and I think that goes across the board. Anything that depends on you, the mercy that you show to anyone is really is who you are. And I think that animals in particular, the reason that I love organizations like Farm Sanctuary that takes in abandoned farm animals and maimed ones, and Helen Woodward that places so many cats and dogs and so many other different animals per week, that I just feel a responsibility for things that kind of can't help themselves, because I feel very blessed, and so I feel like paying it forward is just the responsible thing to do. And dogs are pretty much the greatest animals on earth. I mean, there's really no getting around the fact that when your dogs welcome you after a long day, it's just a perfect feeling. There's no one that's happier to see you than your dogs, ever. And that never changes. Through becoming friends with the people who started Invisible Children and sort of feeling like they cracked my brain open to all these international issues that I had no idea about and did not affect my somewhat perfect life living in Southern California, I met the founder of Charity Water, who I think does phenomenal work by raising money to build wells, and they work, I think, in 17 different countries all over the world, and their primary focus is in Ethiopia. And I did a Charity Water birthday campaign last year and raised $100,000, and a couple months ago got to go see them start to drill the wells, which was really just a full circle feeling, because I had been excited to raise the money, and then I reached my goal, and then got to see them start to drill, and it was just a really, really good feeling to know that I had been a part of something that was going to positively affect people that I had never met. That provides me with a lot of endorphins for some reason. I hope to continue working as an actress as long as people will hire me. I like what I do very much, and I feel like, talking about issues I believe in and raising awareness, it helps me sleep better at night, and that might be a silly way to say it, but there are some times, with as much as I love what I do in the acting world, that it feels a little ineffective or just not impactful to anybody. It's entertaining, but I don't want it to stop there. I feel like there's been a lot of great strides made in bridging the gap between ignorance and awareness as of late with the media and the internet, but I think that awareness and activism could be closer hand in hand, and I want to be active. I think a really good place to start is to sort of identify why you want to do it, and...
Sorry, can you rephrase?
Yes, so sorry.
So we get that at the end, sorry.
I think a really good place to start if you want to get involved in philanthropy or helping in any way is to sort of first identify why you want to do it. And maybe it's just a selfish reason that it makes you feel good, And sometimes that's really what it is for me. It just makes me feel good. And if that's selfish, then so be it. But I think leading with your empathy is never a bad thing. And that I try to do that in my life. I feel like a better person. I'm feel more confident in how I relate to other people when I'm trying and striving to be empathetic. But I think a good piece of advice that I got is to not let your intellect trail far behind. I think a lot of mistakes are made when you are a bleeding heart, which I am definitely guilty of, and you don't really consider how best to affect someone else. Because handouts and charity is not what it's about. It's really not. It's about building someone else up and helping them to help themselves. You really have to recognize the specifics of each and every situation. Whether that's, I want to hand out, food in another country. Okay, well, are you in an area where the people, if they're destitute enough, will kill each other for the food? Are you putting the local grocer out of business? These are all things that, from an anthropological standpoint, need to be recognized. And so the motto that I kind of live by is lead with your empathy, but let your intellect be right close behind. Striving to help other people become self-sufficient, because that's what I would want. If I needed something desperately, I would want someone to help me build myself up. I wouldn't want a handout. No one wants a handout. No one wants to feel like a charity case. Charity sucks. It really does. It doesn't make anyone feel good. And I think building someone up and helping them help themselves is really what we need to strive to do.